Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Thank you for joining me on this Thursday evening. For some reason, I was going to say happy afternoon. If you're not already, go ahead and hit subscribe, like, and comment here with us while we are live. Make sure you visit 49ers Gold Mine as well. That is 49ersgoldmine.com. That's where you're going to see a lot of your off-season updates, news, as well as follow us on Twitter and Instagram at 49ers Gold Mine. Let's get into it because it's been kind of crazy with this whole quarterback talk. A lot of it's been like, oh, the 49ers are going to take Mac Jones because that's Kyle Shanahan's prototype. Yet Kyle Shanahan already said it is ridiculous to say that he has a certain prototype, and that prototype was referenced as being Kirk Cousins. So when you see Kirk Cousins, a lot of people just assume, oh, Mac Jones is going to be the pick. 49ers traded up to go ahead and secure Mac Jones. I don't believe that one bit. But I'm going to go over it and make the case for each guy, making the case for, making the case against, and then just going through my final verdict. And I want you guys to be here plugged in with me, making your case for each guy. So while I'm making a case for, say, Justin Fields, go ahead and tell me things you like about him or things that you are concerned about him, and keep me plugged in with all of you and your thoughts. Before we get started off here, what's up, Mariah? Thank you for tuning in as always. Jason, what's up, Jason? What's up, Melissa? I hope everyone's having a blessed Thursday, as well as week, month, year, whatever it may be. Just hope that it continues to be blessed on your end. So with Mac Jones, something with Mac Jones, like I said, I don't believe they traded up. Essentially invest 3 first-round picks. You gave up 2, but you're investing 3. With Mac Jones is something why he gets talked about being in the first round is some of these traits where he's safe with the ball. He's not going to take too many chances. He's not going to put your team in bad situations. He's not going to basically be what we saw from Nick Mullins, where there's a ton of turnovers, ton of bad reads. He tends to know where he's going to go with the ball pre-snap, and obviously it helps a ton when you make those pre-snap reads, and then you have the receivers like he's had over the past year and a half with Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle. A lot of those guys secure your pre-snap read, but he's done a good job as far as like figuring out where the ball should go with each possession. His pocket awareness is pretty solid, to where he could feel pressure, and then once he feels it, he's able to maneuver it, whether he steps up, back, left, right. He does a good job with that while not being the most mobile quarterback out there. So he has a good feel in that way. He also does have a really, really, I know we saw the pro day. Pro day was nasty. It was, I don't know if it was jitters because Kyle Shanahan was in the building and a lot of people wanted to put Mac Jones to Kyle Shanahan. I don't know if that's what it was, but it was god awful. It was one of the worst pro days I've ever seen, but I'm not talking about the bad right now. The good is downfield touches. He's able to just drop that thing in a bucket from what we saw on tape a lot of the times. Hit his receivers in stride while they're running downfield, 40 yards downfield. And that's kind of why I comped him to Kirk Cousins back in end of October. I saw a lot of those things in him, and I do see those traits as far as someone who knows where to go with the ball pre-snap, someone who has good touch on the ball downfield, as well as someone who's able to maneuver the pocket while not being such a mobile quarterback. I know you guys are tired of hearing about Mac Jones, but I'm just making those are the consensus 3. So now the things that I don't really like about Mac Jones that I'm not going to say that Kyle Shanahan traded up for this guy, it's his mobility. And I'm going to reference it to a Patrick Mahomes mobility. When I say mobility, I'm not talking about Russell Wilson. I'm not talking about Kyler Murray. I'm not talking about Lamar Jackson. I'm talking about a Patrick Mahomes mobility to where you could be an elite pocket passer, but then you're able to just get out in space. And sometimes on 3rd and 8, you're picking up, they're so worried about your arm on 3rd and 8, you're picking it up with your legs once you do exit the pocket. Mac Jones isn't doing that in the NFL unless the defense is in prevent defense and they're just way back there, way past the sticks, which that's not going to happen very too much in the NFL. You could get away with it sometimes in college, even in the SEC, but Mac Jones isn't going to get that lucky, in my opinion. So I'm just referencing, give me some Mahomes mobility. You don't have to be a speedster at the quarterback position. And then his lack of experience being under pressure. That's very concerning. His offensive line sometimes back there just looked like a brick wall to where defenders weren't getting past it too often. Mac Jones was able to, just stand there. That's why they talk about processing so much with Mac Jones. While I do think he's a good processor pre-snap, I do have my questions on his second read after the pre-snap because he had that wall there. He was able to just sit there in the pocket and basically scan the whole field and decide where he wanted to go with the football and basically have his time to do so while maneuvering the pocket. In the NFL, it's not going to be that easy to where you could just stand in that pocket and have all day long. Maybe if you were facing the 2017 49ers where they had Cassius Marsh coming off the edge and they weren't that very good at creating pressure. But other than that, you're not going to be able to do that for a full 16 games. And I think that's where we saw our struggles with Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo is a pretty good processor pre-snap. Times he struggled is getting to his second read while the play is in motion, especially during under pressure. And that's my concerns with Mac Jones. It's his lack of experience. I think it's going to take some growing pains in the NFL to where a lot of people say he is the most NFL ready quarterback. I don't think so because of that lack of experience. It's a different beast. To where if you go from facing no pressure to pressure on basically every other snap, there's a big difference there. And that big difference is he hasn't been able to see that yet. And this is the thing here. It's his ceiling is Kirk Cousins. And I don't believe you invest 3 first-round picks in a Kirk Cousins ceiling player. In a Kirk Cousins ceiling player, you do not invest 3 first-round picks. You can invest 1. You can invest 2. But you don't invest 3 for those type of guys. Kirk Cousins he could be a top 8 to a top 12 quarterback league in, every single year. To where if that's Mac Jones' ceiling, saying he's a top 8 to top 12, you don't trade up that much. And that's where I'm going to grade him on, is because that's where he would be selected if he was chosen by the 49ers. I was completely okay with Mac Jones at 12 because you were only investing 1 first round pick in the guy. And I think if his ceiling is Kirk Cousins, then you might as well invest that 1 first round pick in him. But if his ceiling is Kirk Cousins, you don't invest 3. 2 is completely the max, and that's even a bit of a stretch. So let's see. What's up, Nick? How's everything going, brother? Mac Jones was never in a game in 2020. He wasn't in the lead by a TD in the 4th quarter. Yeah, it's very alarming to where they say he's the most NFL ready quarterback in the draft. Yet there are so many circumstances that he has yet to face at the collegiate level and obviously at the NFL level, since he hasn't taken a snap yet. Sounds like a younger Jimmy, which is an improvement. Yeah, that's pretty fair. I saw some media outlets, I can't remember which one, was talking about, okay, you don't trade the farm to move up for Jimmy Garoppolo 2.0, and that's very accurate. I would, yeah, that's the only thing he really has over Jimmy is the touch on the deep ball. That's it. Dude doesn't even look like he spent a day in the gym, which is all fine and great if you're not a professional athlete. Yeah, that's fair. It's yeah, I know his body frame has been a big talking point, especially since the other prospects have been Trey Lance and Justin Fields. So it's been a huge talking point when you're looking at Mac Jones, because Mac Jones has a dad bod. He's got what I got, and he's an NFL quarterback. So that's not really a guy you want to invest 3 first round picks when you talk about the lack of athleticism in an athlete game that's getting better and better and better athletes each year. We saw Jason Owoye from Penn State run a 4.4. And we saw another guy today. I can't remember who it was, but he ran a 4.5. So these athletes are just getting better and better, especially at the defensive line. That's why the emphasis has been on an athletic guy. If Mac Jones is looking like he isn't going to have that build now at his age, what is he going to look at 5 years into his career? Is his athleticism going to get worse? We'll see. I'm not going to body shame the guy for having a dad bod, but if he has the processor like a Tom Brady has a processor, that's so rare. There's so many far in between of a guy being Tom Brady. I'm not going to just label a guy being Tom Brady that hasn't really faced any up and downs in college. Tom Brady faced many of up and downs in college to where they didn't even want to give him the starting job. So you draft number 3 to get the 8th best. Yeah, it's that's the thing. And his ceiling is the 4th best quarterback in the NFC West. That is 100% accurate, to where you take Mac Jones, the other quarterbacks are Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson, and Matthew Stafford. I'm not going to say Mac Jones is going to be better than one of those guys by year 3. I don't think so. I absolutely don't think so. And with Matthew Stafford, he only has 2 years left on his contract, but I absolutely do believe he's going to re-sign, because why would you separate yourself from a McVay and basically the roster that they have a lot of talented players over there. So I think he's going to be a guy that's going to at least stick with 4 years in LA. Let's be honest, Max Talent is wise and shouldn't get to the end of the first round. People have it. Yeah, his stock is crazy high right now. And the thing is, like, I'm not trying to be harsh on Mac Jones. It's the place where you draft a guy. And with Mac Jones, it's if they were at pick 12 and he was on the board, I would have been calling for it. I absolutely would have, because like I said, his ceiling is a Kirk Cousins. Jimmy Garoppolo's ceiling is not that. To where I would rather roll with my future being Mac Jones. But that's not the case. The case is they invested 3 first round picks on this selection here. And to me, if you're investing those 3 first round picks, it's got to be a Trey Lance or a Justin Fields, just because of what you get long term out of these guys, not the short term. And like I said, based on where he has been in his college career, the lack of pressures, the lack of in-game circumstances where you're not in favor, that does concern me, because in the NFL there's going to be plenty of situations like that. I think that's what helped a guy like Patrick Mahomes, is having Alex Smith, to where he could learn behind him year 1. But hell, Patrick Mahomes was in so many damn situations at Texas Tech. They were behind so many times in the 4th quarter by 2 scores. There was times even when he had the lead in the 4th quarter, he was literally in every single situation at Texas Tech. To where I believe those situations Mac Jones hasn't seen yet. And that's why I'm not ready to say he's the best or the most ready NFL prospect at the quarterback position. But all right, spent about 15 minutes on Mac Jones. Let's go ahead and transition it into Trey Lance. What I like about Trey Lance is he's got an NFL body. Um, like I kind of relate him to a Cam Newton type body, to where you're not going to be concerned with this guy getting banged up and dealing with a bunch of injuries. Yes, Cam Newton has himself, but with Trey Lance, obviously everyone's a little different. To where if he takes a crazy hit from his blind side, you're not going to be as worried from a Trey Lance taking that hit compared to someone of Zach Wilson's body frame, where it's a little smaller, it's a little more Nick Mullins like body frame. So NFL body, great. Called out his own audibles in college as well. That's huge. To where you could read a defense pre-snap. Yes, I get it. It's the FCS, so it's a little different. They don't show many exotic looks. They don't show too many disguises. Basically, what you see is what you get. So those audibles, calling those audibles are going to be completely different in the NFL because it's going to be more exotic looks. It's going to be more disguises. But from when he sees a straight up defensive look, he knows how to, which play to audible from and get to have a successful play. I think that is something highly of Trey Lance, as well as he's usually safe with the ball. There are some times where I scratched my head on it and thought, why is he throwing there? But for the most part, he is usually safe. He does try to take big chances, but I also do believe that was based on where he was playing. It came with the territory of being in the FCS, knowing he could get away with a few things. My concern is I hope that does not become a habit, to where he was playing in the FCS. He thought he could get away with so many far hash throws. I don't know if he fixed that. I really don't. Mac Jones is the 28-3 of draft picks. 28-3 of draft picks. Oh my god, I get it now. At first, you had me a little stumped there. I was like, "What? 28-3?" I get it now. It's the Falcons and the Patriots, the 28-3 draft picks. Based on investing three first round picks, yeah, I agree. At pick 12, no, but investing 3 first round picks in the guy, yeah, he would be the 28-3 of draft picks, absolutely, for sure. But with Trey Lance, he has good touch. He's a good touch passer, to where I'll get in that with Justin Fields. Justin Fields has a little more of a what we saw from Colin Kaepernick, to where they were line drive, a lot of them just line drive passes when they did not have to be. With Trey Lance, they have good touch. That's why you see it was I believe he was playing like Old Dominion or somewhere. It was in the Coliseum, and you see the Russell Wilson just rainbow shots to his wide receiver in the end zone, like a 60-yard pass. The kid he's a really good touch passer, and that's something that stands out to me. It's he very rarely puts too much on it or doesn't put enough on it. He has a good touch. But like I said, as far as like where he can grow is, I don't know if that became a habit, trying to get over lesser talent that he faced in the FCS. Because when I'm talking about far hash throws, it's when he's on, say, the left side of the field. I'm facing straight here. He's on the left side of the field, and he tries to throw something in the flat on the far side of the field, like on the numbers. It was just like very, very lazy passes, very, lazy look into the defense. And a few of those were dropped interceptions, to where in the NFL, those are pick sixes. For instance, think about when Jimmy Ward pick six Jay Cutler in Chicago, Jimmy Ward's first interception in the NFL, to where he caught it and took it to the house. That's basically what I saw too often from Trey Lance. Trey Lance also seemed to pass up his first read a little more than I wanted to where he would look at him, the guy's open. This is basically a second time they're running the play, and the tight end's still open, and then he tries to go somewhere else and hits a curl route, and it gets, almost intercepted in the defense. It was just a lot of ugly and lazy diagnosis in the defense, to where that's concerning. I understand the kid was very young at about about 19 years old, making those plays out there. So he can grow. Some people say he's a guy who can start now. Some people say he has to sit a year. I believe he does have to sit a year because if you want to say, okay, yeah, he made those mistakes, but he was only 19 years old and he still dominated for the most part. Well, yeah, he made those mistakes at 19. Don't give it a pass just because of his age. Don't give it a pass because just of his age. And it was also in the FCS. If he was 19 years old starting the SEC, he probably had 10 or more interceptions based on those just lazy diagnoses. And his feet's really, really awkward. I'm hoping since he's young, for his sake, doesn't even matter if he's a 49er or not. I'm hoping since he's young, he could fix those feet in the pocket. It was very off balance. It was awkward, sometimes choppy. Sometimes he just sat there on his heels. Sometimes he took an extra step than he needed to, and because of the feet, since it was just off sync so bad, a lot of times he was just late. And when you're late, that's when windows close. That's when interceptions happen. So I'm hoping he could fix those feet. Right now, I see him more as as a Mitch Trubisky type player, to where you could win football games with him. I don't know if he's a franchise centerpiece, not yet. If he probably played another year, maybe if he played this year instead of that one showcase game where he was awful, maybe if he played this year and did what he did when he was 19 years old and cleaned up a little bit of stuff, maybe he would be a lot better than that. I do see him, like I said, Mr. Trubisky type player, but I do believe his ceiling is much higher, to where his ceiling could be a Josh Allen, maybe in Trey Lance's year 4 or year 5. I don't think it's year 3 like what it was for Josh Allen. I think for Trey Lance, it's an extra year or 2 that he could get to that level. That's why I would take him with that pick, opposed to taking Mac Jones. It's just because the ceiling is a lot higher, and I don't think the floor is that different from the two. As far as, like I said, Mac Jones didn't face too many circumstances at Alabama. Trey Lance didn't really face too many circumstances at North Dakota State either, but he had different assignments, and he was basically, he had ballers on his team, but it wasn't the difference of the play caliber like what Mac Jones had from receiver to corner, to make up for his just lack of. Now Justin Fields, or actually, let me get in here real quick and read some of these comments. Leo, I've heard a lot about Lance throwing motion. Does it bother you in drop? It doesn't bother me too much, because I see a lot of the same thing with Justin Fields. I know what you're talking about with the low whip and then getting high over, like having that extra little bit of time just because you're dipping your arm a little too much more than you'd like, rather than a quick release like Jimmy does. Doesn't bother me too much. I think he'll be fine. I would say his feet is more concerning than his throwing motion. His throwing motion's on par with Justin Fields. So if someone called out his throwing motion, they should call out Justin Fields' throwing motion as well. And how does the red zone change with Trey Lance at QB? Okay, so the red zone with Trey Lance at QB changes exponentially, because you could run power with Trey Lance because his body, he's built. He's not skinny like Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's skinny. Lamar Jackson it would be more like Robert Griffin. Those two guys were pretty skinny. Trey Lance is built like Cam Newton, but with more speed than Cam Newton. Cam Newton was just, you didn't know what he was going to come with. Was he going to come with you with finesse? Was he going to come with you with power? Trey Lance is that, but with more straight line speed. But yeah, as far as like changing your red zone, oh my gosh, the defense is going to have to sit there for like 5 extra seconds to figure out, does the quarterback have the ball? Does the running back have the ball, or did they pass it here? He changes that dynamic completely, and that's why you get excited about a guy like Trey Lance, because he's able to provide that to your team. Now, this is the other thing with Trey Lance is one of the bigger things that you heard about with Kyle Shanahan is they didn't really want Robert Griffin. They weren't really a fan of Robert Griffin's play style. Year one in the NFL, Trey Lance's play style is going to have to be pretty similar to where you're running the quarterback, and Trey Lance is probably going to get close to 800 yards year one in the NFL. I don't think that's crazy, especially with an extra NFL game, 17 regular season games now. I don't think it's crazy. I don't know if Shanahan wants to do it again since he wasn't fond of it the first time. That's my concern with it. As far as not concern with it, but concern if Trey Lance is the pick. Does Shanahan really want to go with that run first quarterback again? Because that's what he's going to have to be in the year one in the NFL. But yeah, in the red zone, Trey Lance helps that out. You know, he's a better runner than Justin Fields. Trey Lance is. Justin Fields maybe, have faster straight line speed, but Justin Fields has better straight line speed, but Trey Lance is a better runner than Justin Fields. Absolutely. So, anything else with Trey Lance here before I move on? All right. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to Justin Fields. Now, between these three, I do believe Justin Fields is the most NFL ready quarterback between these three. Because just like the other ones, usually his playmakers were more dominant than the defenders they were facing. The difference is Justin Fields faced defenses like Indiana. They were tough. Indiana was really, really tough. Northwestern, they were really tough. They have their cornerback, Greg Newsome, who could sneak into the first round. They had the cornerback on the other side, who I believe is coming out in next year's draft, could sneak into the first round. Northwestern's really good. Their offense was whack. We'll be straight up. Their offense was whack. They sucked. Couldn't really put up points. I think I know who you're talking. I think I know who you're talking about. I think it's number 22 at Indiana. Their safety. He was all over the place. But he faced that competition, and then he also faced a Clemson, which Clemson was allegedly a really good defense and made them look like not such a good defense. And then he went ahead and faced Alabama, where he had a good game. I relate that to where it was a team loss. It wasn't Justin Fields versus Mac Jones. Like some people say, oh, Mac Jones, he beat. No. You put Justin Fields on Alabama, Alabama still wins that game. Flop the quarterbacks, Alabama still wins that game. So it wasn't Mac Jones beating Justin Fields. Justin Fields didn't look like the lesser quarterback. He looked like the quarterback with the lesser talent. And then when you saw Justin Fields versus Trey Lance or Trevor Lawrence the game before, Justin Fields didn't look like the quarterback with the greater talent. Justin Fields just looked like the greater quarterback. He's able to. There's been this talk to where Justin Fields can go off and find his second read. That's not true. That's not true. You can find there's stats all over PFF to where Justin Fields was actually number 1 in completion percentage out of these quarterbacks here in the draft. He was better than Zach Wilson, better than Trevor Lawrence, better than Mac Jones, better than Trey Lance, better than Kellen Mond, Davis Mills. whichever other quarterback you want to throw out there, he was actually better at completing the pass to his second read. I just laugh here on a comment from Al. He does look a little like Eric Davis. He does. So he does have that. He has an amazing deep ball. He occasionally misses. Every single quarterback does. But man, this guy could throw a freaking dart down the field. Thank you, Nate. I appreciate. Nate's just mad because I had a miss. Why are you doing the show so late? Because I knew you had to do a show, Nate. I knew you were occupied, so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do the show now since Nate is occupied, and then he's not on the stream. So that's what I thought. I'm just kidding, Nate. We're gonna have you on here pretty soon. Just make sure you bring that camera to the studio over there at the radio station. Nate is actually 8 feet tall. I'm 6'1" myself, and on our Niners Nation podcast, I'm still the shorter co-host. I don't know how the hell that happens. But back on with Justin Fields, he has a great processor. There is times to where I do see him kind of not getting to his second read and locking down on his first read a little too much. So maybe that's where people bring up the first read, second read crap, is because there's times he does stick on his first read when it's not open. And then you watch the tape and you go, why didn't Justin Fields go there when his receiver has about 5 yards of separation? So I guess that's where the whole reading the field thing is coming from. It's not at an alarming amount. It's not at an alarming amount. Also, something I've seen with Justin Fields is he's a little jumpy in maneuvering the pocket. He takes big steps instead of being smooth, slide the feet. He tends to take big steps. I think that's something he can learn and grow from being with Shanahan, to where not to be so jumpy with his feet. I think that's more of a habit to get rid of than someone with awkward feet like Trey Lance. I think jumpy feet is something you could fix sooner. So he has. So this is, well, to get with the jumpy feet is sometimes, like, to explain that a little bit, is he takes big steps to where if he just slid up a little bit instead of taking a whole jump, maybe he's not going into that impending pass rusher. If you're just a little smooth with it, you could play with the pocket a little more. If you're more jumpy, that's where you'll see Justin Fields say, oh crap, I have to get out of this now, because he's just jumping into pressure. Is it a concern? Yeah, sure. Is it a big concern? Probably not. Let's see. I don't know if you addressed it. I got here late. What's potentially plan B in your option, Leo? Fields is taken at 2. Also, do you see a sleeper QB you might like? Maybe someone that's invisible currently. Well, thank you for the contribution. First off, John V. As far as if he's taken at 2, I'm going to say it's got to be Zach Wilson at that point. Zach Wilson is more NFL ready than Mac Jones. Zach Wilson's more NFL ready than Trey Lance. My only concern with Zach Wilson is durability, basically. I think Zach Wilson could do it all. He is sneaky mobile. Like I said, he doesn't have crazy straight line speed. He's not going to dust defenders for a 50-yard gain, but he has the mobility to where, like Patrick Mahomes, he could escape the pocket and pick up a first down on 3rd and 8 if need to. That's what Zach Wilson does for you. His arm is crazy release, just a flick of the ball and it's flying 60, 70 yards. And his presence in the pocket is pretty well. He does escape too much. with Zach Wilson. He does escape the pocket a little too early. I think Justin Fields does the same thing a little bit as well. Trey Lance as well. That's what you get when you have those mobility guys that could throw crazy passes off platform at any angle deep down the field. That's what you get with those guys. They tend to escape it a little early than they need to. And so that would be the plan B. Honestly, that plan B might be a lot of people's plan A to get Zach Wilson instead. Maybe a lot of people's plan A. And then a sleeper quarterback. I'm going to say the sleeper would be Trey Lance, honestly. I think the pick is Justin Fields. Nobody knows right now who the pick is. I do not believe it is Mac Jones. I think the sleeper would be Trey Lance. And I say sleeper in this reason to where if it's Trey Lance, that means Jimmy Garoppolo is probably back. That's where you say Trey Lance is a sleeper. I don't think you could go in Trey Lance as QB1 into the season with what, Josh Rosen as the backup, Nate Sudfeld as the backup. I know he has your name, Nate Nelson, but Nate Sudfeld as the backup, Josh Johnson. So I don't think you go into the season with Trey Lance as QB1. If you're taking Trey Lance, that means you're starting Jimmy Garoppolo week 1. And that's where I'm going to say Trey Lance is a sleeper because now, one, you have to convince Jimmy to at least play the season with you guys because who says, like, why, if I'm Jimmy, like, why would I not request a trade? Why would I not try to go build a future right now than basically having an audition season for the second time in his career? The first time in his career when he auditioned with the 49ers for 5 games and got a beautiful contract after that. But that's my sleepers, Trey Lance. Mac Jones, I just think he's completely out of it. Shanahan has been vocal about he wants a quarterback that could be top 5 in the league, top 3 in the league. That's not Mac Jones. It's not. It's very rare to get a Brady and a Manning, and like even Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers has mobility. Aaron Rodgers could pick up a first down on 3rd and 8. Maybe not so much now, but 5 years ago, absolutely. Absolutely. So, like, Mac Jones doesn't even have Aaron Rodgers' mobility. Thank you for the question, John. I hope I answered it for you. To me, Nate Sudfeld is a confirmation we're getting rid of Jimmy before the season, that they trust Mac Jones enough to be the starter day 1. Yeah, I kind of uploaded a video yesterday stating that it's weird that you sign a guy like Nate Sudfeld who could be a backup quarterback in this league. I don't think he's that bad. I really don't. And now you have 4 quarterbacks currently. You're obviously selecting someone at the 3rd overall pick. So then you're going to have 5 quarterbacks. You don't go into camp with 5 quarterbacks. You don't. So are you going to release Josh on? Like, 4 is the max you go into camp. A lot of times teams will just carry 3. So we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, I definitely yesterday had my tinfoil on hats, had my detective map on, had connecting dots, connecting pictures. It was like, oh, this signing means Jimmy's gone. And if Jimmy's gone, then I truly believe it's Justin Fields, because I think Jimmy needs to be there for Trey Lance. Fields doesn't appear as natural as Zach Wilson. Everything else is elite. Yeah, Zach Wilson is very a much natural passer of the football. Absolutely. Like I said, he's able to just snap that wrist and that thing goes flying 60 yards on target. I think Zach Wilson would be Kyle Shanahan's favorite. I believe that's the guy he wants, but it's not going to be the guy he gets because Jets are taking him. That it is what it is. Monday Night Football, Week 1. Justin Fields. Oh, man, that means the 49ers would have to, since the West Coast team, they would have to get the second Monday night game, which would be starting at 7 p.m. on a Monday. Hope none of you guys are on the East Coast because then that means it would be starting first game of the season, 10 p.m. Guys, have fun. Stay up until 1 a.m. watching it. Probably gonna have to call out to work on Tuesday or just schedule it off. I'm assuming if you're a beer or an alcohol consumer, probably gonna have to call off that Tuesday. Yeah, Jimmy is gone before the season, but not for Mac. Yeah, I'm on the same page. I based on the circumstances, the lack of circumstances Mac faced. You guys heard me say this plenty of times during the stream. Now I think that's why you hold on to Jimmy. So Mac's got to see more circumstances, or at least learn from somebody else. So John wants to know if any of you guys believe that Mills or Mond as a sleeper. No, it's not going to happen. They traded up for a quarterback and a quarterback only, and that's what they said in the press conference the following Monday is that they're taking a quarterback at 3. Rumors only one Monday Night Football game this year. Okay, well, that rumor I kind of did like the two Monday since I'm on the West Coast. First one started, I think, at like 4:30, and then the second one started at 7. I did kind of like that. I do like the idea of 2 Monday Night Footballs. It's always fun for me. Makes the Mondays a little less Monday-ish, if that makes sense. Prying my eyes open with cute. Yeah, I tend to stay up pretty late too, but I guess that's something you get built for as a sports fan on the East Coast is you get used to those late games. I don't know if I could get used to those ones, especially being a Giants fan for baseball. San Francisco Giants, not talking about the blue guys over there. I would have to be watching my team at 10 p.m. a lot of the time. So that would be crazy for me. If you guys have any more questions, I'll go ahead and answer it for you until we wrap it up here. But yeah, my guy right now is Justin Fields, and I say right now like it's going to change. It's not going to change. It's Justin Fields. I think he's going to be the most NFL ready quarterback now. He can start week 1 if they do move off of Jimmy. Trey Lance, I do like him, but he's a project. He's a big time project, and he has habits that you question if he can unleash those habits at the next level. And I think it's a lot harder to get rid of those habits going from the FCS to the NFL. So that's my concerns with Trey Lance. And I'm talking about habits as in decision making. 2019 said 0 interceptions, but it should have been 10 plus if he was in a Power 5 conference. And if Trey Lance has 10 plus in the NFL, a lot of people are going to say don't draft him. That's too many interceptions. But like I liked Mac Jones. Like I feel bad because I feel like I'm slandering the guy. I liked him, but that was at pick 12. Not pick 3. No shot. Niners go from being interested in Watson, then trading all those picks for Jones. Kyle's looking to add an athlete back there. Field season. Yeah, I would agree. That's probably what their offer would have been for Deshaun Watson, is what they gave to the Dolphins. Maybe a little better. I don't think they would have gone more than 3 first rounds. But yeah, I truly believe Fields is the pick. He offers, like, he can play quarterback from the pocket. He's mobile. Basically, everything Kyle Shanahan described as traits with somebody that he wants, someone who has top 3 quarterback in the league potential. That's all Justin Fields. That's all Justin Fields. Um, Obviously, he said the main thing is winning from the pocket. He's got to do that first before you consider those other traits. Mac Jones wins from the pocket, doesn't have the other traits. Trey Lance could win from the pocket, has the other traits. Justin Fields can win from the pocket, has the other traits. So, but to me, you trade 3 first round picks. Well, not trade 3 first round picks, invest 3 first round picks. You traded 2, invest 3 first round picks. It's got to be for a guy that's ready to go now if you have to. It's got to be a guy that's ready to go now if he has to, and that's Justin Fields. Justin Fields is ready to go now if you need him. I don't think Trey Lance is. I do like the prospect. I do like the talent. I do like everything he brings as a prospect. He's just not ready to go week 1. Mac Jones can. Like, if you force the issue, Mac Jones can. I don't think he is because NFL's going to be a different beast to him. Fernando said this on the 4th and Goal pod. Shout out 4th and Goal pod. Obviously part of the 49ers Gold Mine media. That Mac Jones is like Matt Leinart. A bunch of talent around him. Makes him look better. Makes his processing look better. Makes his decision making look better. Great running back threats as well. And I can relate to that. I do see Matt Leinart in Mac Jones. I can see that. I know you're all pulling for Fields, but Lance, him and Shanahan could shine for a long time. Niners, brother. Yeah, thank you, Carlos. For real. Thank you for chiming in here for the donation. Appreciate it. But yeah, like I said, I like the prospect Lance. I really do. I really do. I just think their ceilings between. That's why you see the graphics here. I got Fields and Lance above Mac Jones because that's where I have them in my tiers. So where the ceiling for Trey Lance is just as high as Justin Fields, I believe, because Justin Fields is not a finished product. He has stuff to work on. He has decision making to work on. He needs to get better from the pocket, as far as not to be so jumpy, not to just take off running as much. Because I do believe jumpy feet in the pocket causes him to run off more than you'd like sometimes. So Justin Fields isn't at a ceiling. I just think his floor is higher than Trey Lance. Trey Lance's ceiling is just as high as Justin Fields, but way higher than Mac Jones. That's for sure. If Trey Lance puts together, oh yeah, way. He's a way better prospect than Mac Jones is, and I think that's why you don't take Mac Jones here. You don't. But I think we're gonna go ahead and Jared Goff. Yeah, like Mac Jones, Jared Goff. That's fair. That's fair. Mac Jones, DUIs has. Yeah, there is character concerns with Mac Jones. Oddly enough, to where Mac Jones did have DUIs when he was younger. And I think that's where a lot of people do body shame him from, is because he looks like he's still chugging a lot of beer. And if that's the case, you get a lot of money in the NFL. Like, I'm not going to predict that. I'm not going to say, he's going to get into more off-field trouble, but it is a concern for sure. I saw a tweet last week questioning Zach Wilson's character in the New York culture. LOL, it's rough out there. Yeah, I don't know. I heard a lot of stuff questioning Zach Wilson's character. From what I know, the guy's a great dude. Um, so we'll see. Everybody, if send me to New York, I'm gonna act a little different too. But I think he has a good base. He has a good base coming from BYU, to where I don't think he's gonna be a Jim McMahon out of BYU. I think he's a little more level headed than that. We didn't see him pulling the whole Baker Mayfield, grabbing his stuff at midfield, not shaking guys' hands and clapping and tell them that they're basket. Like that's more concerning when you talk about Baker Mayfield coming out of college, not Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson hasn't been in any legal troubles. He hasn't been in any headlines for character issues. So I think that's just a little bit of smoke. We'll see. Um, let's hear. Yeah, I think I'm gonna wrap this up pretty soon. Um, Golf, Darnold, Jones, they're all basically the same. I agree with that. I agree with that. I that's why I wouldn't even like I didn't want Sam Darnold to be the 49ers quarterback. Even though they were having those discussions, I'm glad that the number 3 pick turned out in the 49ers' favor, to where they didn't force themselves to go get a quarterback like a Sam Darnold. Leo, do you see the no Bama picks end? Um, I think it does. I think it has to. I think it has to. And what Melissa is stating here is, to where the 49ers, they took Reuben Foster and they felt like they were misled from Nick Saban on Reuben Foster's character. And let me grab my computer charger here. And since they felt misled on Reuben Foster's character, they're big on trust, that front office is. And once you burn them once, they're kind of just like, oof, I don't know if we could take another guy here from Alabama, and especially if he has character concerns or so. I do. It seems like they're always tied to Alabama as well, as far as like players coming to Alabama. Seems like they're always like entertaining the thought of those guys. Uh, so I do believe it ends, and I would be totally on board with Najee Harris. Look at it. Raheem Mostert's final year of his contract. Jeff Wilson's final year of his contract. Those guys you could chalk them up based on their career. Obviously, I hope it does not continue, but based on what we've seen in the past, you could chalk them up to miss one game or two. After those two, you have JaMycal Hasty. Like, that's cool, but do you want to put your chips in on JaMycal Hasty? Like, he looked good in camp, but I didn't see much from him in game last year. So I do have a weird sense that if Najee Harris is there at 43, you could take him. Look what Ezekiel Elliott did his rookie year with the Cowboys. Rookie running backs could be pretty electric year one on contending teams. And I think Najee Harris could bring that dynamic, especially if Justin Fields is the quarterback. Watching a lot of Ohio State, Justin Fields is 100% okay dumping it down to the running back. He's 100% okay just checking it down to the flat. And if you give Justin Fields a guy like Najee Harris to check it down to, you have something cooking. You have something cooking there. So I think it does end this year. This year, I'm gonna say it has to. It has to. It's gonna come to an end. If Shanahan wants to open up the playbook and not be limited, he must draft a mobile quarterback. Yeah, I agree. We've seen the 49ers struggle quite a bit from the red zone. And that changes that dynamic when you add a mobile quarterback because now you're causing the defense to create a read. In that extra read, it's either the quarterback has the football, the running back has the football, or the quarterback's going to pass it. Right now, they're not. They're more worried about just the running back and just play action passing. And if the running back is not getting it going that game, how much are you going to invest into play action passing to where it's pretty much you're giving them a one look to where you're either giving them a running play or a passing play? Because why are you going to try to off balance them with play action when the run game hasn't been working all game? So it's not going to fool them. So I think that's what a running back, a running quarterback that has mobility, that can run with the ball, pick up first downs, pick up touchdowns, can do for you. Feels like my stream is pretty shaky here. For some reason, my internet started acting up. So thank you for bearing with me during this. I don't think we'd ever take a running back that early. From John, I think that's true, but then I think it could also be false in a way, because the Shanahans have always been known with guys off the street to come onto their team and rush for 1,000 yards, or at least look like a potential 1,000-yard rusher. But let's not forget that Kyle Shanahan already took a running back in Joe Williams, who didn't, pan out, but he used a third-round pick on him. How about Sean McVay, who's a disciple? Used a second-round pick on Cam Akers. What about Matt LaFleur, who's a disciple? Picked A.J. Dillon, round 2 this past year. Oh, what about his dad, Mike Shanahan? Took Clinton Portis, round 2 out of Miami. So while we could have the debate, they can make a lot of these running backs produce in the zone run blocking scheme. I do believe we shouldn't just write them off to not select a running back in the second round or the third round. A day 2 pick, basically. I don't think we should write him off on a day 2 pick. And seeing Najee Harris and seeing the way he plays, something just tells me that's a Shanahan guy. That's a guy Shanahan would love to have on his team. And with Puka, I know Puka had some legal troubles, so I don't like guys with domestic violence issues. So that would lead me to be out on Puka. What are your thoughts on it, John? I don't know the whole story behind it. I do believe he pleaded guilty in a way. You feel free to Google that because we're going to wrap up here. But I just don't like domestic violence being related to any person, individual, whether you're in the NFL or just selling car insurance. See from Raya right here. We never have, but we are ready to win. And if they feel running back injuries are a weakness, you never know. Yeah, that's fair. If the running backs, because you're going to figure out the quarterback in this draft. Whether you go Justin Fields or Trey Lance, you're going to figure out the quarterback position in this draft. As far as the future of the running back, we'll see. It doesn't even have to be Najee Harris. Javonte Williams from North Carolina. North Carolina is a really, really good player as well, really good back. So it could be really anyone. I can see them selecting, whether it's the second round or third round, I could see them selecting a day 2 pick on a running back. Well, we're wrapping up here. We're about to hit the hour mark. I appreciate all of you for tuning in here. We're actually here on the channel later tonight is going to be Javi Vega and David Lighty. They're going to be going through mock drafts. So if you guys are tuning in now, make sure you plug into that one because they're going to dive into it pretty deep. First round, second round, third round, fourth round. They're going to be looking at the full board. That's going to be later tonight around 9 p.m. Central and 7 p.m. Pacific. So once again, that's Javi Vega, Fourth and Goal Podcast, and David, but he'll forgive me on that. Troy Warner. So Fred Warner's little brother. I've seen him in high school play. Because I'm here in San Diego. They're obviously both from San Diego, and I was there when his brother was a finalist for the best high school football player in San Diego. I was at that award ceremony. The guy is baller. He was a wide receiver though in high school. And I like wide receivers turn DBs. I really do. And like I don't even think you could find him on a mock draft. If you can, let me know which website so that I could select him in the 7th round every single time. But I think he's gonna be a baller. He has love for a game. He's really, really athletic. He has great ball skills. Think of that Jaquaski Tart interception on Cam Newton where he just ran to the boundary and reached down, got the one-handed interception. That's what athleticism Troy Warner could bring to you from a safety perspective. He's also not afraid to tackle. He'll get his nose dirty. I think it was Navy. They had a game against Navy, and they actually moved him to corner. And a lot of that was to have his tackling skills off of the edge there as far as on the boundary. So I'm really high on Troy Warner. I just like to see him get the opportunity with the team. No doubt he's going to be in camp with somebody. I just, whatever he prefers. If he prefers to be drafted, great. If he prefers to kind of find his own landing spot, great. But I think he's absolutely a kid who should be drafted. Sup, Leo? Last minute, glad to be on. Hey, after Fields, trade Jimmy G for a second, hoping to pick up Najee Harris. He's from the Bay. Let's go. Yeah, what's up? I would be down for it. I would be down for it. Yeah, guys, future episodes. Make sure you go ahead and hit that notification button so that you know Javi Vega and David Lighty, they're going to be going live tonight, 7 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Central time, which is, I might as well go through all the time zones, 10 p.m. Eastern, because I know Melissa's out there in New Jersey. So go ahead and they're going to go through the mock draft. They're going to talk about later round talents. It's going to be a great show. I know I'm going to be plugged in watching. I'm not going to be a part of it. I'm just going to let those two guys roll with it. Appreciate it.